this meeting this evening. So first thing we'd like to do is start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'd stand and join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have a quick motion, if we can, to make a change to the agenda this evening. We need to eliminate number 5, 7, and 9 from our agenda. We'll need a motion to do that.
Could the motion be to table those items, please? Sir?
I'm sorry. Yes, to table. That's an important word.
Eliminate. I so move.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to table item number 5, 7, and 9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, our first item of business this evening is to consider the minutes of the February 22nd, 2022 meeting. I assume we've each had a chance to review those.
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, there's motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 2, we'll invite Robin or Judy up. Both of you are here this evening. They are from the, I'll just let you explain where you're from and why you're here this evening, and then you can read the proclamation. Okay. So.
We are with the South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force. We cover 8 counties here in the South Central area, responsible for sharing of information about the prevention of problem gambling, the risks of problem gambling, and the availability of funding that is out there for no cost for folks who may be suffering or may be considering trying to get some help. It's also available for their family members at no cost. There's a hotline that I can read at the end that's available.
Sure.
And this month is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So we try to reach out to our local communities and get a proclamation signed just to acknowledge that we're out in the community and doing our best to help out.
Well, thank you. We're glad you're here this evening, so we want to acknowledge that. So if you want to read the proclamation, and then I'll finish that.
Yes. Problem Gambling Awareness Month proclamation. Whereas the National Council on Problem Gambling, the South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force, and the City of Newton, Kansas, has designated March 2022 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Whereas problem gambling is a public health issue affecting millions of Americans of all ages, races, and ethnic backgrounds. Whereas problem gambling has a significant societal and economic cost for individuals, families, businesses, and communities. Whereas problem gambling is treatable and treatment is effective in minimizing this harm to both individuals and society as a whole. Whereas numerous individuals, professionals, and organizations have dedicated their efforts to the education of the public about problem gambling and the availability of effectiveness of treatment. Whereas the National Council on Problem Gambling, the South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force, and the City of Newton, Kansas invite all residents of Newton, Kansas to participate in Problem Gambling Awareness Month.
Therefore, I, Clint McBroom, Mayor of the City of Newton, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2022 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Newton, Kansas, and encourage all citizens to support the National Council on Problem Gambling and the South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force in their efforts to implement problem gambling awareness plus action with friends, family, patients, and clients about gambling addiction. We have a proclamation on the table if we want to have a motion and a second.
I would move that we approve the Problem Gambling Awareness Month proclamation.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. If you want to share that number, you can. This is being streamed, so there are people watching. And
yes, so there's a National Problem Gambling Helpline that was 1-800-522-4700. If you call, there's some quick screening questions that the person will go through with the person who's reaching out for help. And if they so choose, they can be immediately connected with or give a referral to professional counselors who specifically can help with problem gambling treatment. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for coming out tonight.
Thank you very
much.
Just
as a real quick thing, I'm Judy. I'm with also the South Central Kansas Problem Gambling Task Force. 14 years ago, I was a person that used that phone number. And I also took advantage of the free counseling at that time. 14 years ago, there was only 12 free sessions the state paid for. Today, it's unlimited. So we're making great progress, is what I wanted to say. Also want to readmit that family members can also be seen for free. And there's also Gamblers Anonymous in Sedgwick County. To my knowledge, there is not a Gamblers Anonymous in Harvey County, but that is something that we're looking into getting going. So, but anyway, just want to let you know there's free help out there, and it really does work. I did use the 1-800 number. It was in effect 14 years ago, and they've kept it in effect ever since. So just want to let you know.
Thank you. Thank you for that story. Yeah, thank you for being here tonight, too.
Thank you.
Denise has it for you. All right, our third item of business tonight is to consider a request for the use of Centennial Parking Lot on May 20, 2022 for a Touch a Truck event sponsored by the Parents as Teachers. Denise?
Okay, so this has come back to you after a couple years of hiatus. This is an event that is sponsored by the Harvey County Parents as Teachers group, and they are requesting to use this highlighted parking lot. They call it the West parking lot, according to the NRC, and they are wanting to use it from 5:30 to 7:30, I believe, on May 20th. And we have checked with the partners to see if there are any games going on at that time, and there are none. So would ask that you would approve this.
Yeah, thank you. Any discussion? We'll take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, item number 4, consider an ordinance amending parking in the 200 block of East Broadway. Chris?
Sure, and at your last meeting, you received a request from New Jerusalem Missions. There's a 2-hour parking restriction in front of their building. They asked that you remove that, default to normal street rules. The commission indicated approval of removing that 2-hour restriction. We've drafted an ordinance put in your packet. If you'd like to go forward with removing the 2-hour parking zone there on East Broadway, we would ask you to approve the ordinance as presented.
What's the ordinance number?
That would be, yes, that would be 5069-22.
I move to approve 5069-22.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. No
Aye.
further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we'll count Rod in there, too.
Okay.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
I will just let you know real quick that this will not go into effect, and so that we cannot pull the signs down until after it has been published in the newspaper.
And for clarification, the city will remove those signs. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're not expecting the property.
Yes,
to do
yes,
that.
we will.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, shoot, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, we have,
Technical difficulties, I apologize.
okay, we have tabled item number 5. Our next item up, number 6, consider a resolution for the creation of a rural housing incentive district for development of Cottonwood Crossing Phase 2. And Rebecca's going to take this tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. So as the commission knows, in August of 2021, you approved this initial resolution for what you're seeing tonight for this full, large piece of the property. There were some high material costs and other reasons that the primary developer at the time wanted to divide it into multiple pieces. And so you had another resolution brought before you in October, which you did approve. Development has changed a little bit again, and we have our developers with us here tonight, Al Votes and Graham Crane, if you had to ask them any questions. But they are asking you to go back to that original size and scope. And as we've discussed before, if we change the size or scope of an RHID, we have to go back with this initial resolution. So that's where we're at.
Any questions from anyone?
Resolution number?
Sure. That would be G-1275.
Move we approve G-1275.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there a second for this one?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve G-1275. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 7 we have tabled. And item number 8, consider an engineering agreement for 2023 CCLIP funds. Suzanne?
Yes, Commissioners. Do we have a map? There you go, thank you. We have talked about a CCLIP project, which is connecting links with Kansas Department of Transportation. We have a project that is going to occur in 2022, and we included a a picture in your packet, and there's one on the screen here that shows the 2022 project in orange. Little hard to see the difference between the orange and the red. But tonight, this is for the 2023 CCLIP. These are funds that are available through the Department of Transportation. And because this is K-15 highway, we can apply for these funds. And it is to do some mill and overlay work and some full depth patching as well. The 2022 project is kind of a long stretched out one where we're going to hit the down around 14th Street intersection on the south end. And then we come all the way up to 11th Street on the north end. Then for 2023, we applied for funds that would take us from 11th Street through the 12th Street intersection on up to the city limit there on K-15 at the railroad tracks. What we're asking for you to do tonight is to approve the engineering agreement because these plans have to be, the construction drawings have to be developed to KDOT standards. And at the same time, we need to do some work to East 12th Street, and that's what's shown in green on the map here. And so because all of these things work so closely together, when you start talking about the 12th Street intersection, we need the projects to all be done at once. And so the engineering agreement that's before you this evening is to do the red project and the green project for 2023 construction. And we would be gaining state funds of $300,000, and then the balance would be paid by the city. These are projects that we have in our capital improvement program, and we will come back to you before we ever put anything out to bid. This is just for the engineering. Any questions?
Thank you for your work on that. So you will need a motion tonight to accept that agreement?
Yeah, approve the engineering agreement, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to accept the engineering agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 9 we have tabled, and that brings us to our citizens forum tonight, and I will invite Shar up. She has been the one to sign up for that tonight, so if you want to come up and present to us, Shar. Yeah, okay, and Bryce, yeah, come up too. And if you guys just want to state your address and for the record, then we'll give it to you.
506 Boyd Avenue, here in Newton. We're back. Still having the same problem. We've called the police many times, and we've just not had any luck. The music continues. I'm hearing it in my house. I hear it clear across my property. If you would like to have a sample of what it sounds like, I'll play it for you. Frustrated. I don't know what to do. What's the next step? Because we have this amended noise ordinance, what is the next step if this is not enforceable?
Nobody has any ideas on next step?
I mean, I can speak to it. I mean, and it's the same direction I'm going to give you before in terms of when you get a complaint like this. It's not necessarily the city commission's role to adjudicate a particular concern, although it can be good inspiration for a legislative change like you saw to the noise ordinance. On one hand, I'll stand by the noise ordinance. I think it's fair. I think it's accurate in terms of what the commission wanted. I would say that it is enforceable. On the other hand, if you would like to amend it, of course you always can. Again, going to the specific facts, I don't feel that you need to adjudicate that. You have PD and the court and everything else, but if there's a specific issue with the noise ordinance, then I think this is very appropriate to discuss it and consider an amendment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that we would, we have not had any other discussion as far as making an amendment to the ordinance as far as that's concerned. So typically, when there's an issue like this, it's a report is written by the officer that's on site. That is then turned over to the prosecutor or city attorney or both.
City prosecutor, yeah.
City prosecutor, and then that's decided at that point whether that city prosecutor wants to press charges or not.
That's right.
And should those charges be pressed, then it would move on to the court system. Essentially, we establish the ordinance. It's not for us to enforce it. So that's, I don't know that we have the option for that on what to do. The most that we would be able to do is to make an ordinance change, but I don't feel like, we haven't had that discussion. I don't know if there's any of us here that feel like the ordinance needs to be changed to be stricter or something like that, so.
And yet
So-
here we are.
Yeah.
Still having the same problem.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So the ordinance does allow the officers that are on scene to use discretion in the noise or the level of the noise on whether or not there's something cited. But I know in this particular case, the reports are being written and turned over to the city prosecutor. So-
And Char will know the facts better, but there have been multiple reports and none have gone forward with charges. That's correct. And
I don't know.
none have been, yes, none have been charged out, but there have been multiple calls, correct?
Yes.
And then I know that the last time we talked, I know you were talking about some remediation in terms of changing the construction of the house.
Oh,
to hope.
goodness, yeah. We've completely moved out.
And I was expecting that we would talk after that to see if it had fixed it, but
Yeah, we've moved out of that room and
Okay.
we gutted it. Because we changed out windows, we put in sound reduction insulation, an acoustic sound barrier. The construction continues, it's not completed quite yet on the east, but the south wall's done and we still hear music coming.
if there's a particular critique for the ordinance, of course, you can always address it with me or the governing body, of course, and we can explore it if there's a specific. But if it is to your fact pattern, I think the mayor nailed it in terms of, aside from any civil remedies you may have against your neighbor, it would be to call law enforcement. They take a report and the city prosecutor determines whether or not it's been in violation of the ordinance. But if, like I said, if there's a specific item in the ordinance, either we can talk or, of course, this is an appropriate forum to raise that.
Okay, well, we obviously need to talk.
I'd be open to.
Yeah, I mean, I just wonder how the police determine, though, if the music is bothering me. I'm calling because I'm hearing music in my house. I don't want to call and bother the PD. They've got other things to do. This is so frustrating.
Yeah, and we hear that from you. It's not that we don't.
Yeah.
What recommendation would you have on an ordinance change? This would be, I mean, we can put it out there tonight. We would be willing to hear it. We don't take any action on anything tonight, but of course, we would be willing to hear it. And I don't know that when we come back together, if it's something that we'll consider, but
Okay.
you can at least present it tonight if you'd like while you're here in an open meeting like this, and it's the city attorney's here and we're here.
Right.
Police chief is here tonight.
I'm
Probably the
as
most appropriate
disappointed as
place to hear
anybody.
it. So, yeah.
I thought it was great that you raised the issues. I thought the commission pinpointed some problems in the current ordinance. I think we made it better. And yeah, it's unfortunate we are still here. That's not what anyone wants. Me, you, PD, the commission, by any means.
One big thing is having exterior speakers placed outside. We're talking, these things are, two of them, 35 feet from our south property. We hear it along every single bedroom on the south wall. And it also including the front yard, too. This is not fair to be living like this.
It's not that we don't want, we're not telling them to shut the music off. We just don't want to hear it in our house. That's all we're ultimately after. And if no external speakers were mounted, no permanently external, I mean, people come to you all the time to get special assessments to be able to have speakers outside to do things, right?
Do we have people? No, we don't have people coming to us all the time.
You don't
for
have,
that.
but I mean, if somebody wants to block off a street for a street party, do they come to you to get permission to do that, or can they just block off?
Sure, yeah, I think blocking a street and speakers on the outside of a private home are probably two different things. So, yeah, people would have to come to us before they wanted to close a street and have a block
But
party.
to do something like
Correct.
that, to have an outside party, noisy,
No, not on an
No,
outside
not
party either.
necessarily?
No, I mean, no. So
Okay.
closing a street versus an outside party, if I was going to have a private party at my church, I would have to fall within the ordinance, right? Or it would be up to the officer's discretion when they come if somebody called. If I decided I wanted to close Broadway for a street party for my church, I would have to get city permission to do that. So two different things a little bit, but I understand the point you're making.
okay?
Yeah, if I wanted to have a party that closed street, I would need permission. If I want to have a party on my private residence, I would not. However, my neighbors do have the opportunity to report it if they feel like it's in violation of a city ordinance as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then there again, it's up to the police at their discretion to decide
Essentially the
whether it
prosecutor.
bothers them.
Yeah, essentially the prosecutor. They're gonna write a report and turn it over to the city prosecutor. Yeah.
Oh, I just find it very interesting, though. On February 13th, called police, hearing music in my house, clear across the road on West 6th. You can actually hear it, the corner of Central and West 6th. How is that not a problem? That is affecting my property,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You can finish. Our chief will be ready when you're done.
And I'm hearing this in my house. And the police officer did not think that was a problem? I'm shocked.
I understand her frustration, and every time she calls us to respond to her noise complaint, we send an officer out every time. And every time, the officer's wearing a body camera, which captures, and it's those microphones on those cameras are very sensitive. We've been in her house, we've written reports on it. We're not hearing the same things that they're reporting when our officers arrive on scene. We've done our due diligence in trying to figure this out. So when these reports are, we have to go by what the officers are hearing and seeing at the time. And at the time that they're responding, the noise isn't to the level that we take actionable offense at the time. So we write a report and we send it on to the prosecutors. And we also include a copy of that body camera, that footage that's there. When we respond to the house, to the location, that's all sent to the prosecutor, and we allow the prosecutor to determine whether or not the noise ordinance has been violated or not. So that's kind of where we're at.
Sounds like the officer needs to come a little bit closer to the house, to my house.
I do know on the February 13th incident, I do know that the officer was actually at the house where the music was, for sure. I know that because I've asked about this, and I've talked to Chris about this, but yeah.
The speakers are inside the garage, and the
No.
officers.
Oh,
No.
they're actually on the back.
Okay, I'm not there.
Okay.
You need to understand, as it's been explained to me, but we can look at the body cameras. Either way, he's inside the garage generally most of the time when he's working on his cars or whatever. So when the officers make those approaches, that's where he's going to contact them. We have all this on body camera. I mean, and we send all this to the prosecutors and allow them to decide whether or not there's been a violation or not. So that's kind of, we respond every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not as quick because we have to prioritize our calls, and we get there as quick as we can, but we go every time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
And they have been there every time. I mean, we're not saying that they don't come. That we're not saying
No.
that at all. What we're saying though is where the speakers are mounted, where the officers maybe are seeing them or hearing them, is not where the issue's coming at for our house. The speakers are on the back side of the house, underneath the porch, that when he turns them on, it's like a loudspeaker that just blasts across everything. So that's the speakers that are actually making the issue for us. And we have a video that we can actually show you a picture of where the speakers actually are. Now, the officer may not have been able to see him because he got a 6-foot privacy fence when he walked around. So that they might be hidden for him to be able to see him on his body camera.
Right.
So pictures can be shown to you of where the actual speakers are, where the problem is.
Would that be something that would be for you to take a look at?
Well, I know
offline?
this initial idea of regulating placement of speakers, I think was brought on early. I would advise against it because we're regulating noise, not necessarily placement, and it seems like such a particular legislative amendment to address. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm thinking more along the lines of mediating what Shar and Bryce are saying and what Chief is saying, and kind of just stepping this back a little bit.
Sure.
Taking it offline, and then, it may end up being something that you have to pursue in the civil side rather than in municipal. So
And that's just kind of what we're here for, because you did the noise thing. So we're asking for what's our next step. Where do we go from here?
So I know that we want citizens to be able to be outside of their home and be able to play music. Fair enough. I mean, my family will sit outside sometime and have dinner, and we have a small Bluetooth speaker. I'm sure some of my neighbors may not like it. It's not loud, though. I mean, I don't think it is. They may think it is, but I don't want them calling the police on me every time we have a dinner outside in the summertime. So in the same sense, we want you to be able to enjoy your home. I feel like the city's options have been pushed as far as what we're able to do, and the discernment with our city prosecutor and law enforcement that's on scene. As Commissioner Stinnett suggested, it may be civil is what your guys' next option is. This body, these 4 and 5, if Commissioner Valentine was here tonight, are not able to. We're not able to enforce that. We're not the legislative, or we're not the executive body, right, or the court judicial system to make that decision that somebody is in violation of the amendment. We simply set the amendment or the ordinance. I'm sorry. So if there were specific items in the amendment or in the ordinance that needed to be changed, we could do that. Yeah, I would imagine that there wouldn't be much desire to change placement of speakers or outdoor speakers. Some people have pools outside and they want to be able to put a speaker by their pool or something like that. So that may be where we are tonight. So
35 feet from our house.
correct. Your houses are unusually close in that neighborhood. And we can appreciate that, especially right there on that small block. So
To Commissioner Stinnett's point, if I'm understanding, maybe myself, Chuck, and Chief can meet with you, and we can see where that goes, just to go over the reports and talk about it. And that may or may not resolve anything. Is that
not
the direction?
to resolve
Okay.
it, just to walk it back and.
For sure.
and-
Chief. Yeah.
I'd love to
We'll
share.
get a meeting and we'll talk.
I will.
And we'll see where we're at.
Okay,
Is that fair?
that's fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'll take a minute and go around, and we do want to acknowledge Commissioner Valentine has not been feeling well, and I was able to speak to her on the way over. We had a work session before this, so I gave her just a brief update on the work session and how that went. She sounded better than I expected. She had lost her voice, but she sounded better, and she is on the mend with some antibiotics, and so we're hopeful she'll be recovered soon. But she wanted to be here tonight and for the work session and all that, but couldn't be, so we excused her tonight, and she was confident in our commission's ability to be able to continue on business. So we'll start with Commissioner Stinnett.
Well, the news of the day is the county nixed recycling. So I think that is not necessarily what's best interest for everything, but I can definitely stand by the fiscal responsibility that the county had to do and the reasoning behind them doing that. My challenge to our staff would be, can we maybe open up recycling to the private sector for residents to contract with private sector for recycling, or to allow somebody to come in and have drop-off points?
We will have to look into that and get back with you. For those of you who may have missed it in the news, I believe that contract with the county's recycling provider, Waste Connections, correct? Is who it is right now, at least, expires end of April. So not too much notice.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Kelly?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that today is International Women's Day. And that is the celebration of the social, cultural, and political achievements of women across the world. And I am admittedly maybe a little biased that I think that women can hold positions of authority. If you haven't noticed, we have quite a few very strong, powerful women in our organization, and I'm incredibly proud of that. So like I said, and also it was in my weekly update on Friday, but for those who may not get it, that is publicly available on our website, or you can sign up to be notified by email and it'll be sent to you. But we did apply last week for a BASE grant, which is Building a Stronger Economy. And that is coming from federal funds that came to Kansas Department of Commerce, and it is infrastructure funding. And so we applied for about $12 million in project funding, actually $12 million total. 9.3 million of that would be provided by the grant. It's a 25% match, and most of it is for infrastructure at the logistics park and the industrial parks, paving of hillsides, some railroad infrastructure and spurs that's really needed. So we will find out about that. I believe awards are end of March is the announcement. So we've got our fingers crossed. Again, this is something that's been plugged into our CAIP for many years. We would have to pay for it all and probably bond it or pay cash for whatever we were going to do. So it would be fantastic to have 75% of that covered for us.
Thank you.
That's all.
Chris?
No, sir. Thank you.
Suzanne?
Okay. Tomorrow evening, we have a PBC meeting, and the Public Building Commission will be considering moving forward with a slightly different Centennial Ball Field improvement project. And then, assuming that we get all of that packaged where they are happy with that, we'll put that out to bids and be able to make some improvements to the ball fields out at Centennial.
Great. Donna?
On that note, we are looking at maybe going ahead with the bond issue for the pool and the parks at the Centennial Park, just so that we can save maybe on our interest in case it starts going up. So we are looking into that option.
Okay. Vice Mayor Kane?
Well, just piggybacking on what our city manager said, only our top 3 people here at city staff are women, and so we should all be proud of that. And accomplish, well, okay, I'm biased too, so that's probably all I should say.
We have great leadership across the board, but yeah, on this International Women's Day, we do want to acknowledge that. So thank you to, and even, Denise and Rebecca and Aaron and so many others that don't sit here in the very front of this room, but so many across the board. We go to different events, different city events, and we see different city places, and there's sometimes a very heavy male presence. And so I think it's neat that Newton has so many, and so many very competent leaders too, that are just amazing things are happening in Newton today and this year, and we have many more to look forward to. And the city commission is largely here to support, to write ordinance and do those things, but it's our leaders, our city leaders, our city employees that are doing these things every single day. And so, we're thankful for all of your work and hard work and impressive work. So we see it just in so many ways that things just roll from rural housing stuff and to ordinances for parking, just some of the small things to the large. So thank you for your work on that. And as well, even over at the PD, we have women that are working there and in leadership roles. So just, so many great ways around the community that we see that. So
That's a great post out on Facebook, seeing all of the women leaders in our city up there in that photo recognizing you today. So take a look at it. It's pretty cool.
yeah, good. All right. Well, with nothing else, the meeting is adjourned.